a signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning to them.
The Black YouTube gender war is one of the most frivolous, never-ending melodramas on social media. That's the video in a nutshell, but stick around, I have more to say. Well, I'm back for a last installment for a video I didn't think I'll ever do, but honestly, is there anything new to say? I've had my laughs at the Black Manosphere infamous catch a flight threat.
I ain't got a problem with you, bitch.
Damn flight,
You
nigga.
just fucking me.
Catch these hands.
I got them plane tickets.
Solo TV's 84 epic meltdowns.
For the rest of the year, nigga. And I'll gladly do it too, nigga. Until you show me mines, nigga.
Seek help, brother.
That's facts.
I've also cracked jokes at the argument that men peak sexually in their 40s, because we're supposed to believe a man who looks like this is getting young women weathered in Niagara Falls. And unfortunately, no more infiltrating Discord and WhatsApp groups. I've seen the things you guys said about me in there.
This is the right here. DRT just posted him. This is with the JC Penney ass tie on and these weird pins on the lapel. Like, what's going on?
Originally, I was going to list down everything I liked and disliked about the Black YouTube gender war, but when writing the original script, it was getting too lengthy and I didn't want to make another long video. Besides, I currently make social media videos for my current job, so I decided to narrow my focus on a major gripe since it overlaps with others, and that is, Black YouTube is incredibly anti-black. Let me explain. Contrary to claims made about me in this space, I'm far from pro-black.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all.
Nonetheless, I personally disdain black people who think they're better than other black people and critique black people's predicament in the United States through a white glaze. They espouse a superiority complex as if they're exceptional and as if non-black people exonerate them from anti-black sentiment. To quote a writer I like, Ernest Owens of the Philadelphia Magazine, black people rise and fall together as a collective. But seriously, I have received messages and comments from men and women who think all black people act and think like the folks they see on YouTube. Now, there are aspects of the Black YouTube gender war I enjoy, believe it or not. To quickly summarize, I enjoy the diversity of perspective, the challenge to conventional wisdom, people who normally are rarely heard having their voices heard, and the reminder that black people are not a homogenous group. More importantly, it can be entertaining at times, but as I stated in a previous video, consuming too much of it as entertainment will eventually have an effect on you. On the flip side, I detest the amount of misinformation that circulates in this space, how people use the platform as therapy, the social isolation content creators face such as celebrating their birthdays with avatars and admitting to being closer to people on YouTube than with their actual family. Seek help, man of tomorrow. Seek help. Far too often, folks exaggerate how poor and successful black people are in the United States. You'll either come out thinking most black people are dysfunctional and poor or make close to six figures.
There's a whole lot of six-figure brothers over here. That's why this is laughable. It's laughable because the vast majority of the manosphere is thinking black men. These are not, everybody here is not an underachiever.
And how can I forget the false sense of grandiosity, where folks in this space accuse everyone of clout chasing and think criticism makes the space significant when it's still a marginal online subculture. But back to the main point regarding anti-blackness. It's omnipresent. It also plays out in various forms. There are overt forms of anti-blackness where groups like SYSBM advocates for eugenics and bash black women ad infinitum, even referring to their genitalias as the form. And of course, the extreme wing of divestors use the N-word with the hard ER and use it against all black people regardless of age. Look at this screenshot of them using a gun emoji at this post. SYSBM and Divestors are practically two sides of the same coin. Many members originate or live in some of the blackest areas of the United States and have had negative experiences with the opposite sex. They both practically believe that non-black partners are monumentally better than black ones despite having accounts of failed relationships.
Right. I was dealing with a bad brat at one time. We all have. But the thing is, it's still better than going with an acre. I'm sorry.
One major difference is SYSBM's animosity largely comes from childhood rejections or ostracism from black culture.
And the reason why I'm SYSBM black man is because obviously black girls treat my shit and so on. But obviously I can give you a few stories why I came to what I am now. It started in primary school when I was going to primary school in Edmonton, Upper Edmonton, North London.
Whereas divestors have more traumatic experiences, such as physical and sexual abuse. But tragically, these personal, and in some cases traumatic experiences, translate into communities forming that sound like white supremacists and hold disdain for the entire opposite sex.
Black women not only look dirty, but most of them are dirty and just plain smell. Ugh.
I feel that all I need to do is know how to count and read.
If you didn't understand his stroke voice, because this little sounds like he's had a stroke, okay? All of them do. They all mumble that mumble sound.
And if you don't think so, just look at these screenshots that look like they came from Stormfront. I type in the N-word in the search engine and there were nearly 14,000 results. Let this sink in for a bit. These are the extreme examples. There are also subtle remarks where content creators claim ad nauseum that black people are dysfunctional and blame every problem facing black people on black women, men, and the group collectively. One example is the Black Manosphere blaming education gaps on black women and not on how cities and counties fund schools. This essentially sweeps structural discrimination, its legacy and continuation under the rug. Only someone oblivious to history can look at a community like West Side of Baltimore or the East Side of Cleveland, Ohio, and convince themselves that policies in public and private practices had nothing to do with the shape of those communities. Of course, classism comes into function. In fact, the whole traveling sector of black YouTube is incredibly classist, where content creators bemoan quote-unquote too many black men traveling and try to distance themselves from the so-called ratchet black folks. Thus, the sector advocates black men to travel but believe those of lower income but access to cheap flights quote-unquote mess it up for everyone else.
Stop telling motherfuckers that they need to go get their passport. Some niggas just need to go to the state over from where they live.
Mr. Anderson says, my friend got robbed and drugged in Medellin. And speaking of which, there's been a high influx of these druggings lately. All right. And a lot of people are saying, oh, it's because of COVID and all this stuff. That is a part. But a lot of it is also you savages acting an ass in Colombia.
Another thing black YouTubers do that personally annoy me is advocating black exceptionalism. Now, when I say black exceptionalism, I'm not referring to the academic terminology. I'm referring to the promulgation in the space that black people engage in behaviors that no one else does. I've heard content creators claim black people are the only folks that diss 9-to-5s and promote entrepreneurship. But all people in recent years have fetishized entrepreneurship, which is a code word for independence. Another reason black exceptionalism annoys me is because black Americans are not the only group intellectuals have deemed to be exceptional. There is quote-unquote Puerto Rican exceptionalism, most famously purported by conservative commutator Linda Chavez, who in her book Out of the Barrio devoted an entire chapter called The Puerto Rican Exception, where she argues that Latinos were making strides, but Puerto Ricans, because of their high poverty and welfare rate that became intergenerational, were holding Latinos back. But I'm basically speaking to a brick wall because people in black YouTube will hold other ethnic groups that in some cases are worse off than black people as being more functional. All YouTubers have diverse audiences, so it's heartbreaking that some people come onto the platform and talk down on black people as if non-black audiences aren't listening. It's even foolish that they do this with the belief that it uplifts them, hence further the perception that some YouTubers view themselves as better than the masses. But to quote the late Paul Mooney,
nigga, wake up call. White folks don't give a damn how much money, how much fame, you still a nigga to them, okay?